Oh, welcome in. This is the Second Cut Podcast, and we are halfway home in New Orleans. We are going to get you set up for the weekend and recap everything that has happened in this week's Zurich Classic. Joining me to do just that, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Gregors.
Rick, this has been something else so far. Oof. We got a really cool tournament brewing, and it started to take shape a little bit now that we've had both formats. We've had one round with both formats.
Right.
Which is, I think, as we saw today, very important. And also what I find fascinating about this is seemingly anybody who makes the cut is going to have a chance over the weekend.
Yes, we are going to talk about all of that. We're going to jump in just 1 second. I will also note Mark Immelman will be joining us momentarily. He is en route from TPC Louisiana. And he told us he will log on as soon as he gets here, which should be the next couple of minutes. Let's talk about the two rounds, Greg, because since the last time we've potted, we've had a round of best ball and a round of alternate shot. Just to show you how different those scoring averages have been. Thursday's round one played to a 64.2. And Friday's round two played to a 70.9. So that is roughly 6.5 strokes between the two rounds.
Yes, and it's not because the conditions changed. We'll get a much better report from Mark Immelman, but watching on TV, both the days looked very comparable as far as winds and weather and all that stuff is concerned. So that's simply the formats. And when you're playing alternate shot, it's challenging. You know, you get one chance. And one thing I noticed about this golf course, Rick, is if you miss the greens, there are some chips that look very basic that have been giving guys fits because of all the grain. So that's something I want to get Mark's thoughts on as well, because I remember when Mark Leishman, and I believe it was Cam Smith,
correct,
won here.
Yep.
Mark Leishman was playing a lot of shots with like a 7-iron. When he would miss greens, he was chipping with a 7-iron. It was running along the ground like a putt, and it was very effective in his short game. But I believe they've regrassed since then, and it looks like there's a little more grass on the greens, around the greens this year. So I'm very curious if that's an option, if players just aren't going with it, because it was a noticeable challenge today.
The other thing that I noticed is, and you can see it really well on TV, the grain changes, right? You're seeing it on TV. There is that darker shade of grass on the greens. There is the lighter shade that's down grain, that's into the grain. And you could tell a lot of those holes were cut right where that changes, right? So if you're thinking about, you're hitting a putt, let's call it into the grain, and then as soon as it gets past the cup, it's starting to roll away from you. I thought that was a nice little hat tip to the maintenance crew for cutting a lot of those holes right on the grain change.
It's a tricky thing, when I went to college in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and the course that we had, all the courses down there were all Bermuda, and one of the ways you would tell which way the grain was going is you'd look at the hole,
right? And
half of the hole, the grass goes right up to the edge. The other half is kind of burnt out because the grain's going away from that. So it's burnt out. So you could tell which way the grain was going. If they're cut right on the edge like that, that trick is out the window, which is interesting. But, it's also pretty cool because while we play a lot of golf in the South, a lot of golf in Florida, a lot of places where there's typically Bermuda, at the time of year where we play, and with all the new technology and strains of grasses, you don't see this kind of grain very often anymore. You used to a lot, but we've kind of gone away from traditional Bermuda grass. We've gotten into it seems like every week we're playing on Bermuda overseeded with Poa trivialis, which are ways to take grain out. It's wonderful to putt on, but it removes some of the challenge of traditional Bermuda.
We also have some courses that are working with universities and have their own strain of grass, and it's just a complete hybrid, unique and custom to themselves. Well, I will let you know, we have a new leader, which we'll talk about. But like you said, Greg, everybody who has made the cut, which is right now 10 under or better, is within now 7 shots of the lead. But there are about 9 or 10 teams tied for 7th alone, right? I mean, this is a logjam, and what we saw happen was a few holes can really change the trajectory of a team. For example, Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, they opened up with a 64 on Thursday, a little bit of a sloppy finish, 69. They bogeyed 3 of their final 6 here on Friday. They were vying for the final group. Now they are in a tie for 16th with just a couple of sloppiness coming in.
Just one inside the cut line. They're the guys that are behind them are the last guys to make the cut. They could have a very early tee time potentially as a result of that. So yeah, it's fascinating. And you look at what they did today. It was a beautiful round of golf from the start. It was exactly what you'd hope for because Rory was hitting great drives. Shane Lowry was on fire with his approach shots early. I mean, his iron play was like what we've seen from him all year, quite frankly. And Rory was putting beautifully. So it was really, really well played through 12 holes. It was near perfect. And then Shane missed the green left at 13 and Rory, off the tee, right? He hit it off the tee on a drivable par 4. So it was probably a pretty good spot to be in. Rory's came out completely dead out of the rough. Then they're in that Bermuda chipping area. Shane doesn't get it on the green and they end up making bogey there. And then on 17, which is just a brutally hard hole, Shane wipes one. Rory flubs a chip. Flubs is extreme, but he hit it. He mishit it and didn't get it on the green. And they make bogey there. And then Rory hits it over the green from 123 yards on 18. And it's 3 bogeys in their last, from 13 on. And all of a sudden they go from, at the time, 2 off the lead to barely making the cut.
Well, let's check out that leaderboard because we are almost finished at the top. We've got Isaiah Salinda and Kevin Velo now out in front. They just made a birdie on 17 to get to 17 under. It's actually on 8, their 17th hole of the day. They've got one more to go. And Greg, this has been a week for these two. A pair of PGA Tour rookies went out on Thursday and shot a 58, not a 59, not a 60, a 58 where they turned in 26. It was video game stuff. It was the Golf Club 2019. It was you and me going at it on a fantasy golf course. We were going nuts. That's what Isaiah Salinda and Kevin Velo were doing.
Yeah. Birdie, 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 eagle, birdie, birdie. Out in 26. You kidding me? I mean, this was unbelievable. And a lot of it had to do with Isaiah Salinda. If this was an individual tournament, Isaiah Salinda is probably a round 1 leader with the way he played because he made birdie at 2, 4, 5, 6, eagle at 7. And he made all their birdies on the back 9. So a really talented player. And if you remember from the Mexico Open, he came in 3rd there, played some really nice golf. He has another tied 11th finish somewhere as well. So he can play. He can play. He's a rookie out on the PGA Tour and has a really impressive swing, really impressive game. Kevin Velo has struggled, quite frankly. He's only made 2 cuts on the PGA Tour, no top 25s. I don't think it's anything inside the top 30. So it's been a real struggle for him, but he was able to contribute some on that front 9. And quite frankly, today in this second round of alternate shot, he was very important. And it was at number 1 in round 2, not their first hole, their 10th hole, where Kevin Velo made a putt from 16 feet. I think that changed the entire complexity of this tournament for them because they missed short putts at 16 and 18. Like each of them missed a putt from inside of 3 feet. And then at number 1 around the turn, Velo makes a birdie. They go back-to-back birdies after that and have since added one at number 8. It was an important moment in the turnaround.
So these two have combined for 19 PGA Tour starts. Velo has missed 8 of his 10 cuts. He's like 125th in the FedEx Cup standings. Salinda, as you mentioned, Greg, has been better. That 3rd place finish in Mexico has buoyed his year. He's 50th in the FedEx Cup rankings. The amount of things that are on the line for them this week, think about that. These two with a chance on Sunday to kickstart their careers.
Yes, and it's not an easy thing, right? I mean, they both obviously have played some really good golf to get out onto the PGA Tour, but you only have 100 cards going out this year. So everything is so much tighter, and the way that you keep your card when you have to get inside the top 100, it's so important to have some really top finishes. Top 5 finishes. You probably need a couple of them. A win, unless you have a win, then you get your exemption. But I'll just add this one story before we bring in Mark here. Shane Lowry missed the playoffs 2 years ago. And he really, if you look at his resume, he did not play bad. He just finished seemingly every tournament between 13th and 25th. And he didn't get enough high finishes to get inside the top 70. So you're looking at similar numbers, similar requirements to get inside that top 10.
All right, let's go down to the Bayou. Let's bring in Mr. Mark Immelman. I believe we've got him here. Mina, are you going to add him or am I going to add him? There we go. Mark is here. Mark, how is New Orleans? How is TPC Louisiana?
TPC Louisiana is in good shape. I was talking a bit, I went and followed Rory's group around there, and I was chatting a bunch with Tom Højgaard. He just came over and was talking between shots. And he was talking about how it was very receptive early in the week, but it's firming up pretty fast now. And the fairways are playing fast. And there was just enough wind this afternoon to make it, somewhat of a challenge if you didn't hit the ball on the button. I mean, those closing holes, you think of holes like 16-ish, but certainly 17 was playing tough. And so it's good. And the vibe at the tournament it's always good down here, but it just seems a little different now that the Grand Slam winning Masters champion is in the field,
He looks about 10 years younger, Mark, and he can't stop smiling. I don't know why that possibly is.
I caught up with him after the...
Uh-oh. We've lost... Oh, we have lost the...
Oh.
He
there he is.
You got me there?
We got you now.
We got you now.
After he went in the scoring, he came over to me and he sort of walked over to me because I had a flag in my hand. And I'm like, congratulations, man. And he sort of took off his hat and was like, just took a deep breath kind of thing. And I'm like, how are you doing? Have you enjoyed this? And he goes, yeah, but I was sick last week, but it's been great. And then he just sort of lingered a little bit. You felt like almost that he knew that there was a gaggle of reporters he had to go and answer to. So he just kind of hung around for a little while and signed a flag. And it was just brief chit chat. But you're right. It does look like there's a pretty big weight off his shoulders. And the way he swung today, I mean, just get up there. I understand it's a team tournament, but it's alternate shot. And he just got up there and laced driver every single time he was over the thing. I heard they bogeyed 18. I didn't see what he did. But it looks like there's definitely some free swinging on the go.
Yeah, they were a little sloppy coming in. We mentioned it already, but I'm sure we'll circle back to that group. Let's continue and move our way up this leaderboard. We've got the Højgaards who set, or at least tied, the tournament scoring record on Thursday with a 59. That only stood for about, 90 minutes before Celinda and Velo came through. This is their second round scorecard, Greg, that we're looking at right now. Big difference between the 59 and the 70 that they shot in round two. Obviously, alternate shot, but I thought they played much better than this score indicates. Just a lot of missed putts for the Højgaards here.
Yes, and short missed putts. I think they missed a putt from like a foot and a half, and a couple 3-footers, a bunch of 8-footers. And this is a really good sign for them heading into the weekend because they're still sitting at 15 under, right there in the mix, clearly in good form. And they're not really dealing with the biggest, what I have noticed to be the biggest challenge of this golf course, which is those chipping areas around the green. So I think that for Nikolai and Rasmus, their ball striking could really carry them. And it'll be important for them to go make a bunch of birdies tomorrow. So, because this alternate shot style that they've played with has been spectacular. It's a shame that no one on this podcast was on them at the beginning of the week.
I was waiting for that. Hey, I had a bet with someone. I can't remember what the bet was. Please help me. My memory's failing me.
It was Rick playing even par through 15, 16, 17.
Okay, so we didn't have a Højgaard bet. Dang. Okay.
I don't think so. Do we? Let me see if I can find it. Here's the outline. I'm looking at the outline right now.
I think they're on the grid.
No, Mark. Yeah, Mark, you had the Højgaards to finish inside the top 20, which, we don't want to do any Friday victory laps here.
There we go.
But that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm in good shape there. Yeah.
You're in good shape there. And Mark, they were very even on Thursday. Nico made 7 birdies. Rasmus made 6 birdies. We are a long way from September. We are a long way from, Nico's a long way from the top of the European Ryder Cup standings. I would love nothing more than to see these two play together at Bethpage.
Well, we talked about it in the preview show. I'm sure Luke Donald would love nothing more than to be able to line the two of them up together, because they really do pair off well. And, Rasmus is a touch longer, but they understand each other's game. So in a tough format like alternate shot, they were in front of McIlroy's group. So I was getting to watch them and Rory at the same time. And I was just walking around like a fan, And it's impressive. They're not afraid of anything. They just go after it, even in alternate shot, because in alternate shot, you can get a little defensive because you don't kind of want to let your partner down. And it looks like either one of them is like, well, if I'm going to hit it into the doo-doo, I'm going to hit it in there hard, and you're going to find the thing and have to play from there because you're my brother. And there's a freedom about it, and they look really, really good today in a tough format. Again, in the afternoon, where the winds were out there, they were enough to catch your attention.
Yeah, you could tell they were definitely getting more gusty and more strenuous as the day went on. Well, listen, we can put a bow on the clubhouse lead. It is now set. Celinda and Velo are in at 17 under par. We've talked about the Højgaards. We've talked about some of the notables, but the team that we have not discussed yet, Mark, that's a team that has been sitting at 16 under for about 5 hours. And that's Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin, who opened up with a 62 on Thursday, followed it up with a beautiful round of 66 on Friday. Just one blemish on the card. They bogeyed the par 4 fourth hole. Novak continues his excellent run of golf. Ben Griffin has been an excellent partner. These two are rocking and rolling at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think they're going away. Greg, you and I had them as outrights this week, didn't we?
I believe we did.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that you didn't. You had
guys
both had Horschel and Hoagie, who now that gets returned to you. But Mark, you have Novak and Griffin at 22-1.
Okay.
Mark's on fire.
Yeah,
Mark
come on. I wish I could get a best bet. I still never got those right. They are a really good combination. And Andrew Novak is afraid of nothing and nobody right now. When I got into New Orleans, I knew I was going to go out there in the afternoon. And so I just came to my hotel room and watched some of the ESPN Plus coverage. And he gave a post-round interview to the guys on the main show, John Swantik and Brendan de Jong. And, ordinarily when you're doing that sort of stuff, you'll hit a shot or two and then stop and chat. He was just all business. He went straight from the scorer's hut to the practice area because he had some things to iron out. And they're like, what about lunch? He goes, I'll get lunch later. He goes, I'm going to get my work done. I'll go back, get some rest and stuff. But you get the sense that this guy's playing with a purpose right now. And Ben Griffin, who has been playing well, is just being dragged along in his slipstream.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to see what happens tomorrow when they're in the final group there, I think, right? And it's best ball because Novak, I had the conversation with Hoagie where I asked about scheduling and what are you going to play now? And he goes, it's tough because you've got next week's Byron Nelson, guys taking time off. And then you've got Truist, which is signature. And then you've got the PGA Championship. And then you've got Colonial. And all these things are important to Tom Hoagie. Well, for Andrew Novak, the guy's like, I'm playing until I win kind of thing. And you get that sense about him. And I think they're a dangerous combination. I really do, because Ben Griffin's been close too, but you can almost, Novak, when you talk to him, he's oozing this like, I'm on a mission kind of a thing.
The slipstream of Andrew Novak is absolutely correct. He was 5 under through 5 on Thursday on his own golf ball. Ben Griffin didn't contribute to that team until the 7th hole in the opening round. And Greg, I look at this. We talked about the Celinda and Velo pairing, being these rookies trying to get a win out early. Novak and Ben Griffin are not rookies. They have been around, both of them still looking for that first victory.
And they're very solid players. And while Ben Griffin's recent performances haven't matched up to Andrew Novak's, I mean, few have, he's still been very consistent and very solid. And there are not weaknesses in his game. You know, it's not like Kevin Velo, who comes in clearly struggling. That's not Ben Griffin. So there's a lot of talent on this team. I think they have a cool swagger about them. I mean, I saw a video of them walking up. It was like a hype video. They were walking up, hitting shots to like 50 Cent or Lil Wayne.
I think it was Lil Wayne, Greg.
Lil Wayne. I was cracking up because Griffin's got the sunglasses on. It's like these guys are cool, man.
Yeah, except his sunglasses are like medically recommended, not because he's actually cool.
Yeah. Well, there's only so cool you can make like pastel Peter Millar shirts, right? So
yeah, how do you make those hard?
Yeah, it's not gonna work. Well, we've got a logjam here, Mark. So we already mentioned we got 17 under. That's leading going into the weekend. Griffin and Novak at 16, Nico and Rasmus at 15, Bridgman and Phillips at 14, and then chaos. 2 teams at 13 under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Currently 9 at 12 under. Everybody who's made the cut is 10 under or better. They're lining up here going into the weekend.
We were just having that conversation, Colt Nost and I, and he's like, man, if you make the cut, you can win this thing. You get out early tomorrow morning, you post something in best ball, because the I don't know if it's the trump card, but the separator is the alternate shot because it's a difficult format, and that's in the final round. But you've got, with a format tomorrow, a team who could be, whatever they are, 7 back, get out and shoot 59 or 60 or do something, be right in the middle of the mix, and then you never know what's going to happen on Sunday. So yeah, it's open season, and there is not one combination in this field who have made the cut, who've gone back to the hotel room going, right, we're just playing for a place. People are playing for the number 1 spot right now. Everyone is.
Yeah, everybody's having dinner tonight, figuring out a pathway to the top of the board. Now, as of right now, the favorites are at plus 320. That is Novak and Griffin, with the Højgaards at plus 450, Celinda and Velo at 5.5, Rory and Shane at 8.5. Those are the only teams under 10-1. Not everyone is going to be around for the weekend, gentlemen. Colin Morikawa and Kurt Kitayama were 11 under on Thursday after their opening round 61, Greg. Couple of doubles, couple more bogeys. It was a 3 over 75, and they gone.
And it's amazing how this happened, Rick, because like you said, a couple of doubles, a couple of bogeys, you can survive, especially when you shoot 61 in the opening round. But Kurt Kitayama hits 2 balls in the water, one on number 4, one on number 6. They end up making double on both of those, and they're gone just like that. Now, if they don't hit those in the water and make par there, save themselves 4 shots, they're beating Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry. You know, so the margins in this alternate shot format are really that fine. It's just, it comes down, well, it wasn't the best round overall. They simply made 2 mistakes, 2 swings. They shoot 61, make 2 bad swings, and they're done. It's incredible.
The team of Wyndham, Clark, and Taylor Moore, they're gone. The Fitzpatrick brothers, Mark, they're gone. Some of the notables that are not going to be around. This is a tough format. Akshay and his partner Carson Young, after an opening 64, they could not break par in alternate shot. They're going home. I mean, it's not easy to do this.
It kind of, in a strange way, feels like, you know, when you go and play in those, well, you guys are about to on Tuesday, I think it is, go and play in these events, and it's a scramble, and you shoot like 18 under par, and you get dusted by about 10 teams.
Yes.
That's what it feels like out here, because look, you got to go to shoot 10 under. Look, the course is receptive, but there's no freebies. And the average score in alternate shot today, I heard, was about 1 under. And the average score yesterday, what was it, 7 or 8 or something like that?
Like 7.5. Yeah, it was like a 6.5 shot difference. Yeah.
So to Greg's point, you know, best ball, you both make a bogey, you'll get run over by about 10, 12 teams. And as it goes for, look, Wyndham looked rough. I mean, in our call on Tuesday, I said I thought he was going in the right direction. Well, was a bit messy here. It's hard to really get a bead on someone's game in alternate shot because there isn't the rhythm of the play because you're hitting shots every second shot.
Right.
So it's hard to really gauge where he is. But I was out there and I saw Colin Morikawa play a bit, and I saw him last week too. I'm not sounding the alarm, but it's not good right now. It really, really isn't. And it's almost like he went sort of iffy. Then Kitayama hit some terrible tee shots. And then the next thing, they both just caved in on themselves. There's not even like one person carried the team. So, yeah, Morikawa is concerning for me, given that there's a major championship just a few weeks down the track, because he's the kind of guy right now that people are asking questions. When are you going to win a big one again?
Yeah, Justin Thomas, lifted some of that off himself and put it onto Colin Morikawa. All right, Greg. Well, everybody's in the mix. Who you keeping your eye on? 2 rounds of golf to be played and 2 very different rounds. Who's the team that you're most interested in over the course of the weekend?
Well, I still have to stick with my guns here. Sepp Straka and Bryce Garnett are sitting at 12 under. Yeah, they're right now at 28-1. So I'm definitely paying very close attention to them. I love the way they played today in alternate shot. This was a team format that it gelled perfectly, just as I expected. I really thought that Lowry and McIlroy gelled as expected, but they're at 8.5-1. They're too far back for that. So I don't love that. I still think they're in the mix, but I don't love that. And I think Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin, I love what they're doing. I know they're the favorites. I think they should be the favorites right now.
Yeah, they look strong. They look strong indeed. My selection before the tournament, Poston and Mitchell, they made the cut on the number. Not too excited about that. I want to see what Ryan Thigala do on Saturday. They're 12 under par. Sahith is making his putts look good. Rye, we talked about him being kind of that resolute partner that Sahith needs in a season of turmoil. Mark, who's the team to watch over the final 2?
I have a couple. I'm firmly part of the Novak Nation. After watching him play last week and talking to him, and I mentioned just how normal he is and together he is. I'm a fan, and I feel like he's primed to pull this thing off. But I've got my eye on the Højgaards, and if McIlroy and company want to make a run, Lowry's got to make some putts because Rory hit him in there to 15 feet, a few holes in a row, and it wasn't that the putts were just missing. They were missing significantly. So it was like part green reading and then part execution, and that's never fun. It's not like Shane could point at something and go, well, I was just misreading greens. I'm surprised he didn't call McIlroy in, or at least his caddy, to have a bit of a peek, because there were a few times he missed big. But yeah, I'm interested in Ryan Thigala. I referenced them in the last show, but the Højgaards, I think it's time for both these boys to. Why don't you just get the team win and have both have a victory on your PGA Tour resume? Because everyone's sort of expecting it. So I'm torn because I'm an Andrew Novak fan.
36 holes of craziness coming up, Mark. We're looking forward to hearing you on the broadcast over the course of the weekend. Producer Mina, she's done all the hard work behind the scenes, and we will be back on Sunday to recap this Zurich Classic and get you maybe a little bit of an early preview on Byron Nelson. We'll see. Lots of Mark laid out the schedule. Unbelievable stretch of golf that we've got coming up. Mark Immelman, that's Greg DuCharme. I'm Rick Gehman. This has been The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.